Hey Essentials people, I'm making a video real quick about Spelling Plus with the EEL guide in Essentials. And you can, I'm going to pass on what I would tell a friend. If I had 5 minutes to say, here's what I know, you can decide if you want to dive into the book or just knowing might ease some pressure and some stress about like what's with the spelling component of Essentials. And so I'm such a nerd. I'm in my living room and I use my whiteboard to write it out so I wouldn't forget. But you may have, I didn't, for a while I thought it was spelling power because the S and the P, in here in the spelling list, it says SP level 4. So even I was like, okay, wait, it's spelling plus, not spelling power. Spelling plus is K through 6, that's where foundation stops. So that makes sense. So, SP list 4, and then the next week, level A is SP list 5. So it doesn't even start in list 1. It starts in list 4, which is level B. Now, I wrote first grade up there, which is why you're like, why are we starting with and? It is typically, or considered, in this book, it's considered first grade. She has this little, description, goes all the way to 6th grade. But, it's kind of like if you haven't done any spelling or whatever, or any phonics or anything, and you really just want to start back at the beginning, it's there for you. She leaves behind lists 1 through 3, which is kindergarten level A, which are like really, simple. And so, obviously, you don't have to start here. She recommends you start wherever you need to and move as quickly as you need to. But that's where that's coming from. But what I want to do here is I want to go through this real quick. And my whiteboard is like so messy, but too bad I did not clean it for you. The benefits of having this book are the weekly list. If you look here, check these out. Like these little lists. And I say weekly because she does recommend, 1 list per week. And that's what this does, is like one list per week. But in here she says, move faster if you want to. There's blanks and templates, like if you want to use one for a spelling test. I don't know where they are, but somewhere in there there's just kind of a I don't know where it is. Sorry about that, but it even goes to cursive after a while. But there's a template in there, a blank template, I promise. There are additional word lists, so if you're like, these are pretty basic lists. If you're diving into a certain thing, you can look, and they're in the back. If I can get my left hand to work. Come on, left hand, don't fail me now. There's additional lists according to what you are learning. And then she has her details and philosophy in there. Some interesting stuff. She was an elementary educator for many years. She's real big on personal responsibility, on each person has to take personal responsibility for learning spelling and really being able to recognize if you don't know how to spell it, circle it and get help. Don't just assume that your phonetic spelling is going to work for the rest of your life. And then she has some methods and some recommendations. So I took this right here, and I distilled like the 4 things that I took away from it that I could just pass on really quickly. Obviously, number 1, I already went into that like a million times, move faster, slower. Okay, the second recommendation, she says, number 2 up there, says create a separate list and add 5 per week, which means, like you're working on list 16. She's like, add 5 words that either they've been misspelling in their writing that you notice, like a word like you think, oh my goodness, my child does not know how to spell pile or something, whatever it is, and or a word that they choose that they that together you decide, let's make a list of challenge words and add them there. That's what that's all about. Number 2. Number 3, she says dictation is the best way to see if they have learned something, which means each week taking that list and having them dictating to them, and as they use it in the flow of a story or a sentence, then you can really see, are they really mastering it? Can they really spell it? And that's part of their practice. In other words, she says, copying them 3 times and having a test on Friday is not the best way. That dictation really is the best way. That takes a lot of time, and I'm like, oh, that's a big commitment. But when I read her, details and philosophies about it, it really helped me to buy into her system of dictation. And then the last one, she says self-correction at the time of dictation is best. Meaning, while you're doing this dictation, you're writing up on the board or wherever, or sitting beside them and saying Did you spell large right? L-A-R-G-E. Or did you, that's one of your spelling words. Did you, how do you spell it? And giving them the feedback right away. That way, that helps them in the moment of learning. It helps them retain it. I don't have experience with elementary spelling. I mean, I was a high school teacher, but this was all new to me. So she said in these early years, she has seen a major difference in that method. So it's not like they just make a spelling test and they get it back later in the day after you've tested it. That doesn't really work. So anyway, hope that helps you guys and let you decide if you want to get this or not. I'm glad I did. I had seen these and thought, that's so simple. I'm not sure this is going to, work for us. And it really helped me to get a grip on spelling and decide some of my opinions about it. Before using this, I had used the phonics program that I used for the early years was just Abeka. And so I really like Abeka phonics. So that kind of does gently come with some spelling lists in the early years. But eventually, programs like Abeka, they move into, when they start moving into nouns and pronouns, find the nouns, diagramming or anything like that, I just stop the program and just rely on this in 4th grade. So there's a kind of a year in 3rd grade in there where I stop Abeka and wait for essentials. But anyway, that's a whole nother topic. Shouldn't have even brought that up. But happy day. I would show you my face, but I'm in my homeschool uniform, which is my top knot and my t-shirt and my sweats, and I don't know how to turn my phone around anyway. So see you later. Hope that helped. Bye.